Hi, my name is Martin, and today I'd like to cover a person that we all know, Mother Teresa. Just found some interesting things about her and would like to pass them along, as well as excerpts from a wonderful book, Come Be My Light, that was written about her and has some beautiful quotes from her as well. Mother Teresa was born in 1910 in Albania and died in 1997. And she left Albania, and I think at the age of about 19, to join the Lotero Sisters in Ireland. And then she, in short order, they had many missionaries over in India, and she was transferred there probably in the first year or two. She never actually got to see her family again, her mother, her sisters. Her father died when she was only about 9 years of age. The father and a number of relatives were poisoned. She continued. Her mother had a wonderful trait, and probably where Mother Teresa got it from, and that is the mother used to invite the poorer people from nearby neighborhoods to their home for dinner, and made that a regular course of events in their lives. So it's probably something that became very central to Mother Teresa, whose original name, I believe, was Agnes. Mother Teresa had some wonderful quotes that many of us have heard over the years, and one of them is, "I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together, we can do great things." Another one, "In this life, we cannot do great things. We can only do small things with great love." Another one is, "Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not yet come. We have only today. Let us begin." There was a beautiful poem that she loved, which was, in essence, I believe she had it on a wall in her studio, and that is, "Do it anyway. No matter what the circumstances are, whatever the difficulties may be, proceed." What Mother Teresa did is she started with the Lotero Sisters, and she spoke no English at all. She was there for about 20 years. She was a teacher. She started a charity school in Bengal province in India. And I guess that particular area, there was a famine resulting in widespread illnesses, starvation, and homelessness. Mother Teresa opened open-air schools and also a home for the dying in that particular area. But she left the Lotero Sisters with great difficulty because it was not easy for someone who is like 5 feet tall to say, "Hey, I want to start a new missionary order and want to do this in India." But ultimately she fought and she fought and she fought and ultimately was able to get going with it. And that was in the late 40s. She wanted to go to Calcutta and do her work there among the poor. So it's interesting in terms of like Albania, Ireland, India. She was asked to describe her nationality, and she said, "By blood, I am Albanian. By citizenship, I am Indian. By faith, I am a Catholic nun. As to my calling, I belong to the world. As to my heart, I belong entirely to the heart of Jesus." From the book, Come Be My Light, I'd like to just take a couple of paragraphs and kind of describe a little bit more about her. And so this first little section is when Mother Teresa first goes to the slums for the first time as a Missionary of Charity, which is her own organization that she started. So in December 21st, I think it was 1948, Mother Teresa went into the slums for the first time as a missionary of charity. Through the challenges of the past couple of years, she had remained faithful to the call and had finally reached a goal, the dark holes of the poor. When her first followers later remarked, seeing her poorly dressed in a simple, humble sari, with a rosary in her hand, was like seeing the gospel come alive, making Jesus present among the poorest. One could say a light has dawned in the darkness of the slums. The Calcutta Mother Teresa now faced had been much differently affected by the consequences of World War II than the aftermath of a famine in the 1940s and frequent riots in the city. Immediately after India's independence, the influx of people into the capital of Bengal was enormous. The city that was known for its palaces now saw its slum areas growing. The poor who could afford to rent tiny shacks, and I mean only several square feet of often windowless space, jammed with their scant belongings, they survived often on a bare minimum of food and with practically no medical help available. Schooling for their children was beyond their means. The number of street dwellers who lacked even bare minimum was growing, and they were at the mercy of illness, hunger, and starvation. Mother described the painful reality she encountered on the first day. We started at Calcutta and went to every Catholic family. The people were pleased, but children were all over the place. And what dirt and misery, what poverty and suffering. I spoke very, very little. I just did some washing of sores and dressings, gave medicines to some. The old man lying on the street, not wanted at all, but just sick and dying. I gave him remedies for his infections, but also water to drink. And the old man was so strangely grateful. Then we went to Calcutta Bazaar, and there was a very poor woman dying, I think, of starvation more than tuberculosis. What poverty! What actual suffering! I gave something which will help her to sleep, but I wonder how long she will last. She was just 96 degrees in temperature at the time. She asked a few times for confession and Holy Communion. I felt my own poverty there too, for I had nothing to give that poor woman. I did everything I could, but if I had been able to give her a hot cup of milk or something like that, her cold body would have got some life. I must try and be somewhere close to the people where I could easily get at things. Every new day in the slums brought new challenges. Besides the poverty, hardship, and insecurity, Mother Teresa had to face the criticisms that she had anticipated. Not all understood her efforts, nor saw the benefit of her work among the poor. This did not alarm her. Her confident answer, the harbinger of future ones, shows her determination. I believe some are saying, what use of working among these lowest of the low, that the great, the learned, and the rich are ready to come, so it is better to give full force to them. Yet, let them all do it. The kingdom must be preached to all. If the Hindu and Muslim rich people can have the full service and devotion of so many nuns and priests, surely the poorest of the poor and the lowest of the low can have the love and the devotion of us few. The slum sister, they call me, and I am glad to be just that, for his love and glory. Another time she was asked to go to a synod of bishops and to actually speak, and Mother Teresa felt a little uneasy about this, the big people at the synod. She was convinced that Jesus was using her to proclaim God's great love for his poor. Her simple but eloquent message was a summary of what she had been living for 30 years. Through her interior darkness, she was well acquainted with the feelings of being unwanted, unloved, uncared for, and she knew that this deep pain was far worse than any physical disease. In her address, she pointed especially to loneliness as a new kind of poverty. She said, recently, a man met me on the street. He said, "Are you Mother Teresa?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Please send somebody to my house. My wife is half mental and I am half blind, but we are longing to hear the loving sound of a human voice." They were well-to-do people. They had everything in their home, yet they were dying of loneliness, dying to hear a loving voice. How do we know someone like that is not next to our house? Do we know who they are, where they are? Let us find them and, when we find them, love them. Then when we love them, we will serve them. Today, God loves the world so much that He gives me to love the world, to be His love, His compassion. It is such a beautiful thought for us and a conviction that you and I can be that love and compassion. Do we know who our own poor are? Do we know our neighbor, the poor of our own area? It is so easy for us to talk about the poor of other places. Very often we have the suffering, we have the lonely, we have the people old, unwanted, feeling miserable, and they are near us and we don't even know them. We have no time even to smile at them. Our poor people are great people, a very lovable people. They don't need our pity and sympathy. They need our understanding, love, and they need our respect. We need to tell the poor that they are somebody to us, that they too have been created by the same loving hand of God to love and be loved. So I thank you very much for listening. What an incredible person, and she's made an impact in so much of the world. I think the Missionaries of Charity started out with 12 nuns, and when Mother Teresa passed away, I think there were over 4,000, and I think it's more than 5,600, perhaps more than that even now. So thank you again, and until next time, take care.